One of the foundational theories of biology is the cell theory. And what the cell theory says is that living organisms, first of all, are composed of cells. And when we say that, another way to say that is that the cells are the basic unit of life. And then one other part of it is that new cells arise from previous existing cells. So these are kind of the three major points of the cell theory. Living organisms are all going to be made up of cells, and since we are studying biology, we will be very interested in what that means. So what a cell is, and then also all of the individual components of cells. We want to understand that cells are the basic unit of life, and new cells come from cells that are already existing. So they do give rise to each other. So keeping those basic principles in mind, let's talk about some of the characteristics that cells have in common. All cell types, regardless of what organism they come from or how simple or how complex they are going to have certain things in common. So if we go through those common characteristics now, at the top of the list, we could put a plasma membrane. The plasma membrane is really a crucial component of all cells, and this is the outer membrane. So by outer membrane, this is going to surround the cell. It is going to regulate what enters and exits the cell. And this is a very important job because this can change from moment to moment. Oftentimes you'll see the plasma membrane referred to as being semi-permeable, but semi-permeable is not really the best term to use here because all that does is indicate that some stuff gets through and some stuff doesn't. But really a better word would be that it is selectively permeable. And that selectively part, that does refer to the fact that it does change from moment to moment as far as what's going to get through the membrane, and the plasma membrane is making that decision. So every day, every second really, that may change a little bit. Now, as far as what that plasma membrane is going to be made up of, it is made of a phospholipid bilayer. And if you think back to the previous chapters, a phospholipid has a hydrophilic end to it, and then it has two fatty acid tails. So this end at the top a lot of times is called the head, and it is going to be hydrophilic. And then as far as this right here, those are fatty acid chains. But commonly we do call them the tails. And they are very much hydrophobic. So we do have this molecule that's got really two different parts to it. It has a hydrophilic end, which loves to be around water, and it has this hydrophobic end, which really does not want to be near water at all. So here we have a look at what we tend to call the bilayer of the cell. And the bilayer of the cell does show the general arrangement of the phospholipids. So what those phospholipids are going to do is they are going to form two layers, and those two layers are going to orient themselves so that the inside of the membrane has all of the fatty acid tails. And because it contains all of the fatty acid tails, that area is going to be very hydrophobic. Outside of that, we will have the, so at the top here and then also at the bottom, we have the head groups. And so the head groups contained the phosphate groups and then any other, oftentimes nitrogenous or nitrogen containing groups attached to them. And they tend to be very hydrophilic. So when the membrane is built like this, what it means is that the inside of the membrane is always going to be hydrophobic, and it is going to exclude water. And then the inside and the outside, so referring to the head groups on the top and the bottom as they're shown in this picture, those are going to be exposed to water. And that's water that's inside the cell, and it would also be water that's outside the cell. So this plasma membrane, if we were just to draw a very simple cell right here, this would be the plasma membrane, and all of this blue that I've shown you is going to surround that entire cell, or it's going to create a sphere, and then we're going to have the cellular content really held right in the middle of that. If we talk about some other general characteristics that are going to be common to all cells, another thing that we have is we do have what's called cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is a water-based solution inside the cell. So this water-based solution, regardless of cell type, it is going to be there. So again, if this is my cell, the plasma membrane is on the outside, and we just talked about its structure, but all of this inside area is going to be filled with a fluid, and that fluid there, that's the cytoplasm. Another common thing is that all cells have to have genetic information. That genetic information, you may already know, is going to be in the form of DNA, or we could say it is in the form of chromosomes. That's going to be located in different places depending on the cell type that we're talking about, but all cells, regardless, they have to have that, and that's really important for one of those characteristics that we mentioned with cell theory, which is the fact that cells are going to give rise to other cells, and so they'll have to be able to pass that genetic information on to those other cells. And a third thing we want to mention here is that all cells are going to have these smaller structures that are called ribosomes. And what the ribosomes do is these are going to be responsible for making protein. And protein is going to be one of the most important molecules that is just doing a wide variety of functions inside the cell. So the ribosomes will be making those, and the ribosomes are going to just be located throughout here. They'll be super tiny. So there's going to be really thousands of those inside of a cell.